From the ages of 5 to 18, most people share the common experience of waking up and for the next several hours moving from classroom to classroom, memorizing different lessons taught by teachers while goofing off with their peers. Talk with your partner about what your experience in public school has been like. Not everyone shares this common experience of school because some people have adopted a newer version of education called unschooling. In a video by Little Learner, she describes the concept of unschooling as the following.
Provide resources for children to learn independently based on what they've observed that their child is interested in. There's an idea of learning through life and learning what you need to know and want to know.
Despite the many positive aspects of unschooling, with closer examination, the effects on student lives and long-standing institutions could be disastrous. To better understand unschooling, it's best to look at the history and origin of homeschooling in the United States. The idea of mandatory public education started in the mid-19th century, but it wasn't until 1918 that all 50 states required children to attend elementary school. As time passed, people began to voice their outrage, like John Holt, who was a former educator and transformed the public's understanding of unschooling into its current meaning that it still holds today. After much protest, homeschooling was eventually passed in all 50 states, with wildly different oversights and expectations. Though unschooling isn't a new concept, a recent resurge in popularity happened thanks to the spread of COVID-19 and at-home learning. Talk to your partner about what your experience was like with at-home learning. Do you feel it had a positive or negative impact on your learning? Parents use this newfound time to begin reflecting on issues they've had with public schooling and look into alternative forms of education, which is when many stumbled upon the idea of unschooling that was circulating through different algorithms like TikTok. The lack of government regulation and parents jumping into unschooling came together to create massive impacts on the lives of many students. The present-day side effects of unschooling have glaring consequences not only for students but for public schools. The unstructured, fluid learning is great for some, but what if a child doesn't want to learn to read, write, or do math? This method of learning gives them no real incentive to learn these basics. However, the consequences of unschooling doesn't purely land on students. Public schools are also affected when it fails to help children successfully learn, whether it be because it was too hard for parents to maintain or if a child was unable to effectively learn. Schools are expected to pick up the slack and leaves them with the responsibility. The larger impacts of unschooling enables disaster for students' future and present lives. A core aspect of traditional schooling is helping students understand the demands of a career. In an interview on NBC, they describe this lacking element in unschooling.
You'll know why. Okay, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a scientist. And by the way, I can do everything on my phone. So why did I need to learn anything more about math than just how to add, subtract, and divide?
Because education teaches you other things. It's like going to college isn't necessarily about the topic you're trying to learn. It's going to class, it's setting structure, it's learning how to use a library or research tools now. It's teaching you discipline.
Another concern is how the lack of supervision surrounding homeschooling could lead to cases of abuse and neglect being overlooked. This is a reality that occurs because of a lack of outside checkups on homeschooled students, which could be reduced with methods like home visits or regular evaluations on homeschoolers' education. Many students aren't making the choice to be homeschooled, so it's up to adults in society to make sure these students are still looked after. How many many states do you think have testing and reporting requirements for homeschooled students learning? The answer is only 25 states out of 50. This means that in half the states there are no monitoring, and it can't be guaranteed that unschoolers are receiving any of the baseline subjects. Some ways to improve laws around unschooling is to elect representatives that embody this goal and will fight for increased regulations, or petitioning a bill that increases the amount of supervision around unschooling education and students. Despite everything I've said, I don't think unschooling is a bad form of education, because it enables students to find joy in learning topics they're drawn to. There just needs to be guidance within unschooling to broaden students' education. No matter what form learning takes, all students deserve an education that they both love and helps them achieve their highest performance.